Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Level 30 Games podcast. My name is Tom. I'm joined here today by some lovely gentlemen who we haven't seen in such a long time. You haven't seen any of us in such a long time. We'll talk about that in a hot second. I want to say hello to Kevin. Kevin,
Hi.
how you doing?
I'm tired.
Yeah,
But I'm here.
I think we're all a little tired. Yeah. Joseph, long time no see, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm, I guess you made the decision for me. I'm also tired.
Yeah, so we are tired, as
Spoke.
happens for the team over 30 years of age, that we just are tired 24/7.
Good night, friends. That's the show.
That's the episode. See ya. Thanks for joining. Long time no
it.
see. Bye. No, there's actually I'm happy to be back with you, Jen. So I want to thank you on air for taking the time to do this today. The last podcast attempt was in April, where we had some technical issues that naturally we discovered after the show was done.
Was it really that long ago?
Yes, it was, because
Oh,
our last
shit.
episode was in March, I believe. And that was 3 months after the previous episode from December. But, you know, I don't think we did any of those in person. This is nice to sit down face to face. So,
being old.
The exception of all the glitter that I'm sitting on.
Kevin's sitting on glitter, and he loves it.
Hate it.
Anyway, if you're
Hate
a
it.
long-time listener of the show, all three of you, we want to thank you for hopefully listening to this episode. I won't get too much into where we, or more specifically I, have been. Needless to say, some personal things going on between work and my own life, where I needed to kind of take a step back from some of the level 30 stuff, which is why the last review or last published video was for Mario Golf, and that came out in like June or July. So since then, we've been a little inactive, but we're happy to do a podcast today. I've got a top 5 games of the year video coming out soon, and Mike and I have unearthed an old episode of Press Start that we're going to throw out for the hell of it. And
It's a secret episode?
yeah, well, there's a
Top
few
secret
episodes of Press Start that aren't good enough, and they exist somewhere. Because normally we would tape multiple episodes at a time, and by the third or fourth episode, we're just wiped out. So it's
It's
literally
each
it's
other.
just two of us staring at the screen, and you hear button presses and the occasional grunt. So there's some really bad episodes, but there is one that we found that was shelved for a reason, and we're gonna get that out, and I think aim to tape some new ones in January. So you got your retro goodness coming. News Minute, which Ada and I had revitalized pretty successfully over the course of a bi-monthly show. Every other week we would do one. That started to get a little overwhelming, and so we don't know what form that's going to take.
Wait,
But
is that bi-monthly or semi-monthly?
semi-monthly, not every 2 months. Every other Friday we would go for an
There you go.
episode. So check out the last one. We actually tag teamed it, and it came out really good. It was like an E3 post E3 thing. There's the uncomfortable look from Joe.
Hey, fun fact. Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
On my way here tonight, Nintendo of America tweeted Banjo-Kazooie will be on Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass in January.
Oh, all right.
You mentioned January. I just was like, wait a second.
So it looks like they're
I'm
going to
excited.
stick to some regular cadence, maybe, because I think we also just got Paper Mario today. Is that correct?
Yeah, the 10th. I think you're
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
today's the 10th. Today's the 10th, December 10th.
What year is it?
Well, I don't know what this is airing, but for those of you who are watching this later, that's when it was recorded. All right, so enough housekeeping. Let's get into some of our topics. Our headliner for today, which Kevin is thrilled to talk about, was that if you know now today's the 10th, and you know yesterday was the 9th, and you know that was also the evening where the 2021 Keeleys were hosted.
Keeleys.
If you're not familiar with Jeff Keighley,
He means the Game Awards.
I mean the Game
by the
Awards.
way.
I can't tell if Joe's yawning out of spite,
think
like that was
he's-
a bad joke, and
I
he's
think bad
snoozing
joke.
through it. Yeah, okay.
I was yawning about the show. I mean, no offense to Jeff Keighley.
Love
I
Jeff.
genuinely like his personality, his public personality. I don't know him, so I can't say I like him. But you know,
I like what he's trying to
a cool
do, but
person.
that show was. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, last night was disappointing.
Talk
Anyway,
about
Tom,
it.
Well, so let's talk about it then. Like,
all right, let's go.
I'm curious from you, like overall impressions. Joe, you
Oh,
seem fired up.
I gave mine already.
Yeah, you were fired up.
My overall impression was,
We had a group chat going to it,
Yeah.
and I fell asleep because then I woke up and they
Yeah.
were like, "Where's Kevin?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I fell asleep."
That's
That's how engaging the show was. For
Yeah,
me.
we had made a
Yeah.
pretty strong presumption that Kevin died of boredom during the show.
and we were very close to right.
We're very close.
Yeah, I tapped out around 10:30, which was later than I thought I would make it. I did stop around 10 to like take care of some stuff when all the weird K-pop kind of mishmashy stuff was
There's
taking
K-pop.
place.
Is that what I slept through?
They did a
slept through
K-pop
so much,
song in the game engine of some game that's coming out that has only just frightened me because it looks really weird, and I forget the name of it. It's not it's a very interesting name.
Is it the one with the weird spider human?
Ew.
No, that's what
Demon
opened the
thing.
show. Well, all right, here let's
No.
move
Anyway.
through this. So Joe or Kevin did not enjoy the Game Awards. Kevin, I'm
Wait, can
confusing
I
your
speak
names.
for Kevin?
Yeah, you can speak
Kevin's
for
right
Kevin.
here.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, so Sonic 2 trailer, loved it. Liked the little tease for Sonic Frontiers. I don't know.
Sure.
Sure. The new Sonic game.
know
Everything
it was a
else, I was
tease,
bored out of
but-
my mind. Like
Everything?
almost everything. Like there was okay. I'm generalizing. There was a lot of stuff that I thought looked cool that I will never get to play because I don't have every system.
Mm.
And there was there was some indie stuff that I was really like, ooh, that looks really cool. Ooh, I like that art style a lot.
You'll
but
get
there
to
was
play
a-
them in 20 years on a virtual console.
Yeah, exactly. I get to play them on, some successor of the Switch in like 10 years when I'm almost dead. But a lot of stuff I was like, this all looks very same. I was bored. I fell asleep. Woke up. There was some after show on at 1 a.m. I was like, what is going on? Some guy was playing something. I was like, what in the world?
My God, I'm an
Unless my
adult. I wasn't
YouTube
staying
just
up till
jumped
1
to
a.m.
something else. I was like, what's going on?
Oh, that's probably what
That's
ended up
probably what
happening.
happened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably just went to the next.
But
available thing.
I like I said before, like I like what Jeff's trying to do with the show. I appreciate that we have a Game Awards show, but there's a lot of stuff going on that show.
Yeah. So, Joe, I want to get to your impressions in a hot sec. Yeah, there was a couple of the pre-show, I guess, headlines that had come out either a day or two before, where Jeff Keighley promises 4 to 5 or 6 to
5.
7.
It was 5.
Game reveals as big as Elden Ring, and
Yes.
people afterwards were like, not even close.
Yep.
Not
Where
even
were they?
remotely
Where
close.
were they? What were they?
And then even before the show, he tweeted out, "We have 3.5 hours of awards and reveals
And commercials.
Well, the whole thing is a commercial. I mean,
Sponsorships.
let's be honest. The whole
Yeah.
thing is a commercial.
Sponsored by blah, 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 blah. I heard that a million times while I was awake.
You heard
Anyway.
sponsored by blah 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 blah.
Well, I can't say that. I'm not saying the sponsor.
Well,
Well,
he
we're
was
not sponsored
sleeping,
by them, so
so
we can't say
was a
them. I
dream.
suppose. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this is a program that needs to be that
3.5
long.
hours.
Joe?
What did you think?
Yeah. Impressions, Joe.
No. So, well, I was watching it with my girlfriend. Not that she cared at all. She just happened to be in the room. And every time
She was there for moral support.
Right.
I think she was there to make sure I didn't off myself. Anyway, so
Oh my God.
she was like, anytime Jeff Keighley said anything, she goes, he's always honored. Like, he's honored by all of this. I'm gonna freak out if I hear him say, I'm honored again. And I'm like, that's one of the best parts about the show, because I can appreciate how much like he cares and how much he appreciates that he managed to turn his career into something that like the rest of the industry cares about.
Yeah.
As far like the actual, like, not the fans, the industry themselves, like people want to actually announce their games at the Game Awards. That said, I could have done without like Facebook advertising trying real hard to pretend that they're politically correct and not destroying the world. But again, there really wasn't a whole lot that I cared about. A lot kept coming up, and it was like, hey, I've seen this game before at every other game show. They're all the same. And I think I said it in our group chat last night. Like, every game except for one or two of them was like rustic and neutral colored. Even Sonic was rustic and
The
neutral
world
colored.
Was it though?
yeah.
Oh,
He's-
okay.
Yeah, it was. I
He's-
thought about that today too.
Yeah, like he's blue with a neon blur behind him.
Everything else is green and gray.
Yeah, that's it. Everything. Like, I know the world goes through like trends and phases, and that's what people are interested in. But like, I don't know. Give me some damn color.
Mm-hmm.
It was boring.
That's why some of those indie games that looked like. Do you remember the game Out of This World?
No.
Oh my gosh, what? Okay. Well, like cartoony art styles and like very colorful art styles. Like I like that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But like I saw a couple indie games that were like that, and that's what caught my attention. I was like, ooh. But then everything else, I was like, I'm bored.
Yeah,
Like, it
there
all
was
seemed-
there was a lot of sameness to some
Yeah.
of that stuff. On top of which, and this is a trend. I'm going to go jump that. Biggest disappointment for me was, the samification, but also I'm just going to refer to it as the Fortnite-ification of virtually every
Oh,
type of
God.
game that's out there, and whether that's kind of encroaching on this, hey, like free to play or low cost of entry to play, but we're going to hit you up for like customized skins and stuff. Like they pushed Fortnite Season 3 quite a bit during the Game Awards because it had just announced. And then like every other video game that featured a gun also seemed to like lean into this kind of over the top, not cartoony aesthetic, but like, and Saints Row, I guess, is a good example of a game that looks like it's finding a good balance because Saints Row was the GTA kind of like name brand, and then it leaned hard into let's just be over the top and kind of obnoxious, and then they took it even further. Like I don't remember, like 3 or 4, like you actually got like a giant dildo as a weapon. And you walk around like, yeah, no, I'm like that was like on the back of the box,
Like a dildo sword?
yeah,
On the
pretty
back
much.
of the box.
And so like I think they're finding this balance in the fourth one where like okay, we can be over the top and silly, but it was like very bright and like fun. It looked like. But I'm not a fan of this, like, everything needs to be Fortnite. So we're going to throw crazy skins on every character. Because I know when I play my shooters, I want to, like, go after them just as a giant hot dog or something. Like, that doesn't, I don't find any appeal in that. But I think that's the overall concept of, or premise of the show now is that I don't think anything in this event really is targeted for us in the level 30 crowd. Like, it's not for us anymore. Like, maybe some big reveals. But, like, if you really distill the highlights, even across some like journalistic websites that have been around for a while, like there were not a lot of things to really like represent the folks that Joe's hiding his face.
I just got real depressed.
Well, listen, but it's not a knock, right?
Nothing
Like
for you.
we've aged ourselves out of what is trendy. Right, like
I didn't age myself. I did not choose
Yeah, I
this.
didn't choose
Well,
this.
we
I'm
didn't
sorry,
choose
I
it,
did not choose
but,
the
like,
old.
I know what you're saying.
You know, like there are games that we look to because they're within our wheelhouse of things that we're interested in playing and have grown up playing. And, you know, the Game Awards featured a lot of stuff that is catering towards, you know, your 12, 13, 14-year-olds where
Which is weird.
we just want, it needs to look cool so we can hook
Why
them.
would the Game Awards, like, are kids watching the Game Awards?
I would imagine it's a pretty large demographic.
Why are they up at 10:30 on a Thursday?
Oh, please, Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Joe, you have no idea.
Joe, you have
You're
no idea.
You're so naive.
You're so naive. So let me ask you this, gents, as we I do want to talk about some of the award winners because there were a lot of raised eyebrows. But what do you think needs to get done to make sure that this show, all right, as we put the awards part of the awards show in quotes, separate issue, but those words were pretty much glossed over.
That's every
what
year.
what like what would
There's,
what
like,
does the
fly
show
through
need to
them
do?
now.
I feel like it was pretty palpable throughout the evening, a little bit more so towards the end of the show, and then a lot of the social media reaction today was, okay, this needs to kind of scale back, get back to the basics. So, like, what needs to be done to make this of value? It seemed that this is the apex of what it's been doing over the last few years, and it kind of needs a reinvention. Because I feel like if this is definitely more of the same next year, I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
So what would need to be done for you folks, and we'll start with Kevin, to make this somewhat interesting to you?
I mean, I'm obviously just speaking for me. Get rid of the musicals. I'm sorry. Let me get rid of the excessive amount of them. There was a bunch.
There was Sting was a really weird choice to open the show.
Yeah, I'm like, and if
It
you're
was
gonna
great
do music,
performance, but-
if you're gonna do music, have it related to the games. Like everything should be related to the games. And
Kinda-
I'm trying to think like what else. Just streamline it more. There's too much like it's all over the place, and a lot of the awards were done at the pre-show, which we talked about this last night because I turned it on like 15 minutes early. I was like, oh, that's right, the pre-show, and they announce awards and they show stuff. A lot of people probably don't even know that. Like, have it all in the show. Why is it 3.5 hours long? I don't know why it's that long. It doesn't need to be that long. Maybe 2 hours tops. Because like I don't know.
Joe, how do we reset for you?
No.
I think the problem that I have with it is the concept of it. You know, like I don't think it's something that gets fixed because why do we need Game Awards? Honestly, like it's the same like AAA titles winning for the most part.
Debatable.
You generally know who, maybe not for each category, but who the winners are going to be.
But
They're the most talked about games,
yeah.
but it doesn't mean that they're the best in any category. I just, if they want to make it worthwhile for people at large, it needs to be shorter but bigger. It doesn't need to be longer to be bigger, but there needs to be more industry people there. It needs to be like shoot off confetti and bring up half the people from Microsoft and be like, this is a great thing you did. Like make it like an actual like whatever, I don't know any other award shows, but like make it like music award shows and movies and TVs and all that stuff. Make it almost compete with them. Like I know the industry's not at a point where people care that much because nobody cares about the random developers, but make it seem like they care, like fake it till you make it.
Well, I would argue they should be cared about. Like, I mean,
be.
there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that work on any given game title. And
Absolutely.
like to be recognized for that, even if it's okay, you're like, I'm a designer on some game and my boss's boss gets to go on stage and accept an award for a game that I made. Okay, yeah, they're in the spotlight, but like part of that is because of what I did. And I think that's an element that a lot of gamers specifically tend to forget about because they just bitch and moan when one little thing in their game isn't to their liking.
Yeah.
And they don't really realize that, hey, there are hundreds of people that made that exist for you to enjoy. And just because you so like sour about it doesn't necessarily mean that they shouldn't get the credit for
Do you guys
making
watch
that.
the credits at the end of the game?
Always.
I do too.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Right. And not just because maybe there's like a scene at the
Yeah,
end.
I watch
but
it
like
'cause I'm like, I just beat this game. Like, at least let me watch.
But for the same reason why
Who
I
made
will
it,
sit
like-
in the movie theater and watch the credits to a movie, it's because as someone who makes things and creates things, I know that like those names are important and valuable to the outcome of what I just experienced.
Yeah.
And like, and that sounds really silly, but as a sign of respect, I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna
That's
watch
kind
the
of like
credits.
why I do it, like a sign of respect.
And I do think that people should care. I'm saying more that they don't.
Yeah.
Whether we think they should or not, they don't care because these people are generally faceless to them because they're just developers sitting at a keyboard or and just coming up with these games. That being said, though, one of the things that loses me a lot is that a lot of people in this industry are very awkward, and as someone who is very awkward,
Who isn't awkward,
I
Joe?
get it and I understand that, but like they'll
You're
sit
so
there.
awkward, Tom.
They'll sit there and they'll talk to each other, like the people who are on stage or whatever, and they'll talk over each other, and then they'll all back off, and then they'll do that awkward like who's gonna speak first kind of thing. And I don't know if it's because everyone's just awkward, they don't have a lot of social interaction with other people, or if it's the fact that the show isn't scripted enough, But like you'll see you'll see actual celebrities go up and give a speech, and like there's some and likes
Cheesy, corny
and
bits.
them
Oh, the bits were bad.
Oh,
them tripping over themselves. We'll get to the bits.
sorry.
Give me the
But
bits.
for the most part, those celebrities can go up and say, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of my fans and all the people who made this possible for me, and a whole bunch of other things that are completely meaningless because they make a ton of money. But they can come out and say it somewhat confidently, and we get people who come up on the stage and they go, thank you very much for this award. We put a lot of our heart and soul into it, and we're really glad you all liked it. Thank you very much. And they're already backing
Which
away.
I kind of like because it almost feels more organic. I know an actor receiving an award for, like best actor can go up there and
act.
speak confidently, right? Like it
Yeah.
almost feels more organic to have the person that's not good, not good at that, but like
it's
that's
them.
not in their
That's who
wheelhouse.
they
It's
are,
not meant
yeah.
to be,
But
you
there's
know.
a difference between like genuine and just real uncomfortable, and they tend to lose me. And again, I'm very awkward, and I know I lose people because I'm weird to talk to sometimes. But listening to them sometimes, it's like, could they have at least like, you don't have to know what you're gonna say to say thank you word for word, but there's a reason why when you gave reports in class, your teachers made you write note cards out with like a sentence on them. So you can go, okay, this is my next topic. So at least you remember where you're going, because these people are clearly uncomfortable being up in front of a lot of
That
people
many
and talking.
people, yeah.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when it's not what they typically do. But just have an idea. Just have a note card that says, say thank you for this. Remember to name this person. Say goodbye and
Basically,
wave and
you
walk
want
to my
everyone
left.
that attends and is nominated to take a public speaking workshop prior to going up and accepting their
Not
award.
at all. I want them to be confident in themselves. And this is overall, don't forget that this is an entertainment show. People should want
Well, we
to
can all
watch.
argue that it was not really entertaining.
It was not entertaining, but
No.
it was entertainment. People want to watch, and you want
Be
people to be
entertained.
engaged.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get people engaged by bringing up a bunch of people who look like generic nerds.
I want to argue against this, though. The generic nerds, as you call them,
Yeah,
are
you're
only
really
up
getting
there.
nitpicky here,
for,
Joe.
Are only up
that's
there. Wait
myself.
a second.
That's
Wait a
me.
second, though. They're up there for a hot second, and then there's 500 commercials after it and a music performance. Like, they're not up there that long at all.
Yeah.
They're not.
And
That's what I'm just saying. It's not a
They
big
don't have
chunk,
to be.
but it's not a big chunk of the show. So you were
It's
talking
really
about,
a very small chunk
yeah,
of the
you
show.
were talking about like you want it to be more engaging, but like they're like
but it's called the Game Awards.
I know, and everything else is like
That's
Right,
what I'm saying.
so-
It needs to be bigger and based around the Game Awards. The whole show. Then I guess what I'm saying is,
Don't
it's
call it the
not
Game
just-
Awards then.
the whole show needs to have confidence. And if we're not going to base it around the Game Awards, don't call it the Game Awards.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Call it Mini 3 with awards.
Yeah, or if you want to like throw it, make it an
Mini
end of the
three.
year,
That's what you did
gaming celebration.
I like that.
Cool.
That's
Like I
clever.
think that's fine. Maybe I think the awards element needs to be boosted a little
Speaking
bit.
of E3, is it June yet?
It's not June. We got a long way to go till June, but we got some big expectations for June. Hey, let's talk real quick about the award winners for last night. And I'm not
It
going
was
to hit
not
every
the viewers.
category.
Tom's gonna speed run.
Tom's the
viewers-
speed run. Yeah, because
viewers
and
were
I
not
already
the
cut
winners.
stuff out because no offense. I don't know. Biggest esport person. I don't give a shit.
I don't care.
No, I don't care.
No offense.
Good for
That
you.
was in the pre-show, right? Or was it in the main
No,
show?
I don't. Maybe
Whatever.
I don't know. I tuned in.
I couldn't even tell you who the winner was, let alone the nominees.
Well, I made sure to Google this morning because I did leave off right towards the end, but I was not waiting up for Game of the Year, and I would have been actually. Again, no disrespect, I would have been pretty upset. So let's quickly move through the best award winners here. Best RPG, Tales of Arise, which I was super excited to see. We have a weird category. There was a best action adventure game and then best action game, which I thought was really kind of like that's a weird line to draw in the sand.
Can I say best action adventure?
I know
game?
you're really excited about it.
Metroid Dread.
That's
right,
right.
because it's freaking incredible.
All right. Best action game, not action adventure, just action was Returnal, also amazing. Innovation and accessibility, Forza Horizon 5, VR and AR, Resident Evil Village, community support, and I believe best ongoing game was Final Fantasy 14, which I don't play. I'm kind of thrilled that it's getting the limelight a little bit. That game's come a long way since it's come out, and it's happy to see something that isn't, like a battle royale game take the limelight for a hot second.
What do they mean by best ongoing game? Like,
guess,
I
like,
understand.
So a
Continually
game
updated?
that's been released. Oh, Kevin, go ahead. Sorry.
Is it continually updated? That's what I interpreted it as, like continually updated and still like actively being updated. That's the same thing I just said. That's what I think that means. I don't know
Okay.
if that's really what it means.
Yeah, I think it just means the game's out. The developers haven't given up on supporting it yet with additional content, but like meaningful content, not just like firmware updates and like balance patches and stuff. Like, and this would be like, all right, there's new quests. We're increasing the level cap. There's new enemy types.
Okay.
Realms to explore, things like that.
Constantly new stuff.
There's constantly new stuff.
Does Final Fantasy count? Because they're just releasing the game in segments.
No, this is Final Fantasy 14.
Oh.
Yeah, not
It's
seven.
ex-
Really?
it's-
I could have swore I saw 7.
They did show something in
7,
but
there was a
this-
commercial for 7 because it's
Yeah.
coming to PC, it looks like.
Wow, that shows how
they
engaged I was in this show.
Yeah, no,
showed,
14 is only online, and it's
Gotcha.
one of
What did
those,
they
a la, World of Warcraft, where it's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
monthly service fee that you pay
They
for.
showed for 7.
Pretty sure I played it twice.
Okay.
That's how engaging it was.
Oh, I mean, I'd be intrigued, but it's not my cup of tea to pay for a game on top of paying for the service that allows you to play the game after buying the game.
I think you can play it up to a certain level for free. 'cause
Oh, probably.
I did not pay.
Probably. All right, moving on.
at Best
Genshin
Mobile.
Impact won Best Mobile, which is cool. Great game. Never played on a mobile. PS4, though, it was pretty cool. Debut Indie and Best Indie was both Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
That
Those
game
were
looks gorgeous, by the
two
way.
separate categories, but it won for both. Yeah, it's on my list of games to download. I'm waiting for the physical copy to come out instead of the digital. Audio design was Forza, which also won Best Sports Game as well, which is a fantastic game. Art direction, Deathloop. Best game direction, Deathloop, which was one of my favorite games of the year. Best narrative, a little surprised to see Guardians of the Galaxy
Same.
win that. I heard fantastic things about it, but
Other games that were nominated were
I don't remember the other nominees.
was Deathloop one of them?
Deathloop was one of them.
There
I
was
think
other
Ratchet
stuff
and Clank was one of
where I
them. There
was
were a few
shocked.
games where I was a little surprised to see that.
Yeah.
But kind of cool that it won, and if it's worthy of it, then awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Game of the Year, we can debate this for a little bit.
Wait, you skipped one.
I did? No, I
Best
didn't.
game direction.
Nope, said it.
You did?
I promise.
You jumped out of order.
Yep. No, I didn't. I did kind of. All right. Anyway,
Yeah, you did.
Best,
Thank you.
Best game of the year went to It Takes Two.
That one actually did surprise me. I'll say that.
Well, that was the biggest surprise of the night, arguably, right? It was up against
Yeah.
Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. A lot of things in there we would expect to see. I think Psychonauts was a interesting choice. And honestly, I think Metroid Dread was kind of an interesting choice. Kevin will disagree.
Metroid Dread should have won.
But It Takes Two was a...
Did you vote for it? Did you vote for it?
No, I didn't vote for anything.
Sure.
You want to know why? Because I didn't want to give the Game Awards my email address.
Whatever.
Low barrier of
Buy
entry.
Metroid Dread
Turned
if
it
you haven't
down.
got it yet.
But It Takes Two is a co-op game, but it's exclusively a co-op game. Like you can't play it by yourself. You need to play it, and it's, I believe, couch co-op. I don't think you can play online with
I think
other
you're
people.
right. Because the whole point of it is to be with somebody, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, like that. It's baked into the narrative of the game. So in that way, that's kind of a cool concept. I was very surprised that it won Game of the Year, though. Were you guys expecting anything different?
I was not expecting that to win.
Agreed.
What did you think on that list would have taken it? Because I would have had my money on Deathloop based on the buzz that was around that game when it came
I
out.
thought there was something else on the list.
Nope.
This is the whole list?
Deathloop.
I
It
mean,
Takes Two.
obviously, I was way biased. I was hoping. I honestly thought Metroid had a good chance.
The
of getting
only
it.
way, and I think the only way Metroid would have had a chance is that the diversity in the nominees was so varied that it would have split the vote a little bit
Yeah.
amongst some of these titles, and that Metroid could have crept up. You know, one of those things where like every game got, you know, like 18 to 23% of the vote,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just one game that completely blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
We'll never know what those percentages are.
I can't see it. It looks like a CNN enemy.
It's gone. I honestly, in terms of like buzz that I heard around the games, I would have guessed Resident Evil out of that list. Like Metroid was a little bit too new, and even like Psychonauts was a big deal when it was announced, and then I heard nothing. And Ratchet and Clank, I didn't even know it came out, so I would have guessed Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil. I actually just started recently. I think it's interesting. I think 7 kind of refreshed the franchise going to that first-person perspective, so it kind of loses some of that luster of that like engine change and perspective change. It's still really good. It's still a game that I play in small chunks because I'm legit like scared to play it at night because I'm a giant wuss who put it on easy and is still terrified. But that's just me. So I mean, congrats to It Takes Two. I'm more intrigued to want to try it now, but you know, we'll
I
see.
honestly am looking for another like couch co-op game that's relatively simple to play with my girlfriend because we've been looking for games like that, and we played Pode, which is an indie game on the Switch store.
It's not Pod.
No, PODE.
Oh,
Pode.
okay.
Yeah, it's very good. It was incredible. It's a single player puzzle game, but there's 2 characters, so you can turn it into 2-player mode. And you can play at the same time. You just don't have to. But it was a ton of fun. The story, like the characters are super endearing. The story is, pretty heartfelt. And we never got super aggravated. There was a few points where we were like, let's walk away and come back because we're confused. But overall, great game and not too difficult, so it was easy for her to stick with it. And then we played Unravel 2,
Okay.
which was incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, I remember that one. That one's one of those games that's always on sale, like to the point where if you're just throwing it away at that price, it maybe isn't super great.
Yeah, and so I'm not. And we only paid like $4
Yeah.
for it, so I'm not super hurt about it because at least I got to try it. But it was really boring. There really was not a lot to it. It was run right. All right, solve this very simple puzzle. All right, now keep running to the right. Yeah, it was boring. So we were looking for another like puzzle platforming couch co-op game that's easy for her to get into because we've tried playing Mario a couple times and she gets mad because by the 3rd level I just pick her up and run through the level with her on my head because it's easier than just watching her jump
was that
down
fun for
every
her?
pit. It's not, but the alternative is it's not fun for me
All right. Well,
or anybody really.
All right. Well, so I think you should be the litmus test. I think you
That's
should get It Takes Two
Okay.
and see if your relationship survives it. Because I think based on what I know about that game, you don't have the option to pick them up and run with them. I think it like separates your characters, and you need to do something very specific for me to proceed, and then vice versa. And so, it's literally entirely in their hands.
Yeah, Poet is like that, and Unravel 2 is like that. One thing that was fun in Unravel 2 though is that since you're constantly attached, you and your other character are attached by a string, and you can actually attach yourself to that person. And there were times where like we both couldn't get through something at the same time, and it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hop on your back. You just go. Just
there you go.
Finish the level. So like I can't pick her up, but I can jump onto her back. And a few times it was like, I'm gonna go get like a glass of water here. Hold on to me, and just let her get as far as she could with only one person.
Yeah, so that'll be on that list. Maybe something I check out in the future. I would say when a slow month comes, but I'm hoping. It seems like based on all the commercials we saw last night, 2022 might be a little bit busier to kind of make up for. I don't want to say lackluster year that 2021 was, but let's jump into that. I'll swing back to some of the new stuff that I will cut out, gentlemen. Don't you worry. But like we haven't done a podcast in several months, but like the year as a whole. I don't know. Like I'm curious how your gaming habits have trended this year, seeing as how there wasn't too many gigantic tentpole releases. I feel like there was a lot of smaller titles that got a chance, or titles that like original IPs or refresh franchises that came back that like stole the show for me to some extent. Like I'll leak out my top 5 because I'm going to put that video out soon. But like as a whole, 2021, what were some of your favorite gaming moments? For you personally, or news announcements, whatever, of the year, did anything jump out at you as something being like monumentally impressive or stuck with you till now? Is like, oh, that was a really great gaming moment?
Metroid Dread.
Explain.
Because do I have to explain that?
No, I'm just like it was your standout game of the year.
It's like growing, like the viewers know. We talked about this. So like the fact that game was in development hell for like however long, like growing up, I was like, ooh, there's this game they're making called Metroid Dread. Never came out. Teased in Metroid Prime 3 or 2. There was one of the
Fusion or something.
No. I think it was Prime 3. Yeah,
Oh,
it was a Pirate Homeworld. Anyway, you scan something, it says, "Oh, Project Dread." So we were like, "Wait, are they still thinking about this?" Just the development history of that game alone is a thing, and the fact that they just out of nowhere like showed a trailer, Samus like fell through a ceiling or fell and like landed, and it was like, "Oh my gosh!" And like, I'm not gonna go into the whole reactions, but like that was huge. That was huge for Metroid fans, and the game is amazing.
The only thing that would be bigger is if they actually
there's a free demo for it.
If they actually put a Mew underneath the truck outside Pallet Town. That would be the only thing bigger.
Yes. My gosh, could you imagine?
I can't imagine. Joe, what about you? What was the biggest moment of the year for you? Is something that you're just like, I'm really glad this happened in the world of gaming in 2021?
Man, I don't know. This year really was boring
This
for
year was
games.
weird.
I'll give you a second to think, because here's I'm gonna give. Oh, you got one?
I wouldn't say this is like my favorite gaming moment overall, but me and a couple friends, this is the first time I've had like a group of people that we can all play the same game together. And we
just want to note to everyone that Joe and I have played a game 0 times together this year. So go ahead.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's true. No. I
Yeah,
sat on
sure.
your.
Go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
No,
I sat on your
we haven't
couch.
either. Like,
I sat on your couch and played 10 minutes of Returnal.
there you go.
Oh, that's true. You did.
We didn't play together,
Tom
but
is a
I
couch
cheered you
artist,
on.
as
Anyway,
the
go
kids
ahead.
say.
me and my friends started playing Back 4 Blood, and it's genuinely enjoyable. It's a lot of fun, and I feel like and I can appreciate this a lot. It feels like a separate entity from Left 4 Dead. Like it doesn't fill the hole of not having a new Left 4 Dead, and I think that's a good thing.
For those not in the know,
yeah.
Back 4 Blood is created by Turtle Rock, or
Yeah.
ex-developers from Turtle Rock, the folks that made Left 4 Dead
Yeah, and
and
then
Left 4 Dead 2. And
Valve.
then Valve said F them, and then they went to do their own thing. So go ahead, just film people and go ahead.
So that's why the joke is it's Back 4 Blood, just like Left 4 Dead. So the game, while it does feel like an evolution of Left 4 Dead, they changed enough things that it feels like, oh, this is doing something Left 4 Dead does, but it's a new game. Because in my mind, Left 4 Dead is a skin on top of a very simple play style that you might find on like NES or something like that. You know, like you're just 4 characters, you run around, you can get different weapons sometimes, and you're shooting at little dots that are coming at you. Then they skinned it into something modern with Left 4 Dead. Back 4 Blood, on the other hand, is a fully fleshed out game where there's like a story and a narrative, and you can get upgrades for your guns, and there's a money system, and there are, while only 4 players can play at a time, there are, I think, like 8 characters you can play as, and they have different skills. The card system's really cool. There's a base camp. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. It's not just Left 4 Dead 3. You know, like it's something absolutely new.
How much do you like this game?
A pretty decent amount.
Do you want a poster? I have like 3 posters for Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, sure, I'll take
Not
a
the
poster.
time right now, Kevin.
I
If you
mean,
give away posters.
I thought about it. I thought about it. I'm like, hey, I have them here. Take them.
All right. Well, I've downloaded it. I have not opened it or played it once.
It's worth playing.
Yeah. So you're gonna hit me up one day, and we're gonna find a time to play. And I'm gonna go in as level 1, and you're gonna help me kill all the things.
No.
What
Level up.
are you playing it on?
Xbox.
Okay, fair. There's crossplay, so we can play together.
There is crossplay.
Because I play on
It's
PC.
on Game Pass for those that have Game Pass. So it was literally a boop download done. Cool.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yep. Which Game Pass I'm starting to enjoy. That's going to be one of my 2 surprises for the year is that I actually found worthwhile stuff to play on Xbox Game Pass. Xbox has always been a system where I'm like, I gotta play Halo, so I run out and I buy Xbox. Interesting enough,
Halo.
Yeah, there's
that. Just like that. Well, you're in luck this week,
I got to
Tom.
play Halo. Yeah, and I downloaded it, and I haven't played it yet. I did some of the multiplayer, and I think Call of Duty has ruined my ability to play Halo because I used to be really good and not anymore. But so one of the things I was really thrilled, like my overall impression for 2021 is that I'm finally starting to see games come out, and I also understand this comes from a place of privilege because I have both a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X, but I'm finally starting to play games that are designed for those dedicated pieces of hardware, not this upgrade to the PS5 version and you can pay $10 extra and get better frame rate. Like Deathloop was an experience. Ratchet and Clank was an experience. Microsoft Flight Simulator, Forza Horizon 5, Back 4 Blood, Halo were 4 games that I downloaded just for the price of Game Pass, and not to be a shill for it, but like I would not have played 3 of those games if it weren't for that service. And that was really, really cool. And there's some indie games I downloaded too that normally, as you know, Kevin, you would know, like I would like, oh, I got to play this on the Switch. But that $20, I got the save and it went on the Xbox and I got to experience some really cool stuff. So seeing some of the we're in next gen, but they still referred to as next gen systems kind of come into their own was really exciting. So it's got me hopeful for the future as they start to, they won't drop support for a lot of major titles for the older systems for a while, but to see some like true next gen exclusives was really awesome.
I want to say this about Game Pass too. The big benefit that I found out of it, because we got like
this podcast is brought to you by Microsoft.
I kind of wish, but yeah,
well, we'll reach out. We'll see if they'll sponsor the show
over there.
We'll say, hey, we've got 2 listeners,
and you need them. I promise.
I want them.
The big benefit that I had at a Game Pass was since all 4 of us were like, we don't want to spend like the full $60 to play Back 4 Blood right now. There was like a deal since none of us had used Game Pass before. We spent $1. We got it for a month, played Back 4 Blood for a straight month. So one of the days my desktop was out of commission, so I couldn't play anything on it. So I just hooked up my laptop to my monitor, my keyboard, my mouse, all that, and just streamed the game. And while it wasn't perfect, it was good enough to play a first-person shooter.
That's cool.
And that's pretty impressive. And like, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't even have to wait for the game to download because there was no way it was going to run on my laptop. I just streamed it to my laptop.
Would melt.
And yeah, it's not a high-end one at all. So yeah, I just streamed it right to my laptop, and like there was very low latency. It was noticeably more than playing it locally, but still completely playable.
That's awesome.
And every once in a while it got pixelated, but like it's a video feed, so you don't get rubber banding when your connection slows down or something. You just get a lower image quality until it comes back up, and I was able to still play that night, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm starting to see the advantage to having kind of access to these things outside of the specific hardware that they sit on. Like Halo, I downloaded the other day from my phone to my system, and I'm like, cool, it'll be ready for when I get home. That's kind of an awesome thing to do. And I'm going to throw this one out there just as a personal one, the last little bit for the year. Like, I thought I was out of Animal Crossing. I was not. This update was huge. I think I've plugged in an extra 30 hours already.
Is that why everyone's talking about it again? There was an update.
Big one,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a big
Now,
one.
unfortunately, they said it was the last one, and it was a paid one. And I'm not going to talk about the Nintendo Switch
Wait,
Online
was
component.
it the last update period or the last like major one?
They said last
But
update.
don't they do seasonal stuff?
Yeah, but like I think that's basically on an autopilot
oh,
program
okay.
now. It won't change; it'll be the same, but it'll still be there.
Like each season.
So, but it was kind of cool getting back into that. Okay, all right. As we come to a
Where
close
are
of our show, I wanted to try and shake things up a little bit with you folks. One of the news stories that I glossed over, and just to kind of touch upon now, is Masayuki Iumora passed away at the age of 78. For those not in the know, he was a Nintendo employee who was the lead architect of the NES and the SNES. And so I wanted to do just real quick.
We have a moment of silence.
That was weird.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was upsetting to see that.
It was upsetting,
made
but
me
in a
upset
way
too
where I'm like,
'cause-
I never knew this person's name until just
Right,
now.
But, like,
but I'm going to credit
it's
you.
upsetting though too. Like, how long is Miyamoto gonna be around?
Don't
How long
stop
is
it.
Sakurai gonna be around?
You know
any
that-
of the game
You
developers.
know Nintendo is Miyamoto and Ice, and they're just going to like
Yeah.
cryogenically freeze him for the future.
Well, they like trained a lot of
Japanese
younger
Walt
people.
Disney.
no, I know. It's all good.
It's gonna be depressing.
It's going to happen to us too.
I know.
We have this podcast as our legacy. I can't even say it with a straight face. Anyway, so I wanted to.
depressed.
Yeah, I would be a little depressed too. All right,
Please
so
all
I wanted to give you folks at home. You can play along. We're gonna pit Kevin and Joe against one another. Maybe trivia becomes a regular part of the show in the future.
Or having trivia? He did not tell us about this at all, by the way.
Oh, I'm so stoked
this
to
was
lose.
thrown in our faces.
Was
It
that
was
even-
not thrown in your faces, Kevin. It was in the rundown that you
Don't you-
neglected to see.
No.
I didn't put the questions in because that would
We're
give
not,
you.
we're not going to go into this, why I didn't read the rundown.
Kevin never
Let's
reads
go.
the
Here we
rundown.
go.
Okay.
I don't.
Here's a little NES,
Spontaneous.
SNES trivia for you. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna
Um,
lose.
Ooh, you may
We're
not.
gonna start with an easy one.
Nope, didn't get it.
We're gonna go to Kevin first, and then to Joe.
Do we get to steal?
What's that?
Do we get to steal from each other?
No. It's not a shout it out first. We'll tally up the points. Joe, keep track of the points. All right. Which
Nice, I'm in the
console?
lead.
Which console between the NES and the SNES has released more video games?
Ooh.
Are we talking like officially sanctioned by Nintendo?
Let me rephrase the question. Which console had more games released in North America? I want to specify the region.
That's my question?
It's both of your questions. You can both answer.
Oh, okay.
Officially licensed by Nintendo, though. We're not talking.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm going to say the NES.
I agree.
I guess we're both wrong. Are you Googling it right now?
No, I have it in my spreadsheet, but now
I was gonna say, what the heck?
now I can't get online.
I don't know the answer.
He's
either.
like,
We'll find out. Tune in next episode. No, I'm already second guessing this is a terrible segment. I wrote down the NES, but I don't think that's correct.
give me this.
No, you can't, because the next question is a follow-up. You both said the NES?
The worst trivia ever.
This is really bad.
Yes.
Okay. I wrote down the NES. We're going to go with that. It
Don't
might
forget
not.
the NES was still, like, Yoshi's Cookie came out when the SNES was out already. So there were still games coming out. Anyway, good job.
Yeah, it's a failure already.
Wait, why don't we both hold our own score?
I don't know. Oh, Joe's tallying? Okay. All right. Follow-up question. How many games were released for each system?
Why are these freaking numbers?
NES 462,
Okay.
SNES 381.
Is this Price is Right rules? If I go over, I lose.
Yes, sure.
Put the score back up, Joe.
I forget the
All right,
answers you already gave.
NES. I forgot what you said.
How about
already.
this? How about this?
NES?
How about this?
No, he's changing.
I'm going to change. No, I want to make it easier for us. Okay. Because there's no way I'm going to remember these numbers, but we will remember this. Okay.
I remember them.
Both systems had released games totaling the same number in the 100s, in the hundreds. Was that number in the 400s, 500s, 600s, 700s, or 800s?
Both systems?
Both systems.
400s.
Both say in the 400s. You're both incorrect.
Well, sucks to be us.
Both
Yeah,
in
it
the
does.
700s.
Wow.
NES at 720, SNES at 716.
Crap.
I'd like to say
Impressive.
I just picked random numbers.
That's okay.
I pretended that I knew what these numbers were.
I have a
No
question for
idea.
Tom.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Tom,
Mhm.
what color were the face buttons on the SNES controller in Japan and North America?
They were red, blue, yellow, and something.
In both regions?
No, I don't know.
Uh,
I know the answer to that question. Do you know?
they were purple in North America.
Same shade or two shades?
2 shades.
my
It was
God.
a
Checking,
dark.
just checking.
It was a
It's a good trivia question that you should have had on that list.
it was a
Well, if you let me
convex
finish my
convex
trivia
dark
game.
purple
Yes.
and a concave light purple.
I love the concave buttons
And I think they were all convex on the
on the
The
PAL region
Japanese
and
one,
the
yeah. I
Japanese
think you're
ones.
right, yeah.
They were. They
Very
were.
interesting design
they're bulbous.
differences.
They didn't think Americans wanted color.
They also didn't think we wanted Super Mario Brothers 2, the original version, but
All right, here we go. Next question.
fair.
What was the last game
What's the score?
released?
1-1 still?
It's 1-1 still.
Okay.
All right. I don't think anyone's going to get this. What was the last game released for each system in the United States?
Yoshi's Cookie was for NES. Pretty
Okay.
positive. And for the SNES, I have.
I
last game-
only included this question because I actually knew the answer to this question. I feel like this had come up in other trivia examples before.
I think Super Metroid was one of the later ones for the Super Nintendo, but I don't know the last one.
Joe,
If I've learned anything in my time paying attention to the industry,
which you haven't.
whoa.
Wow. Wow. He was teaching me about
I haven't
NFTs
seen you in
before.
months. He's
Seriously,
gonna
we're getting attacked.
Come in being anyway.
First, he spawns trivia on us, like he springs it on
Right?
us.
Anyway, so yeah, if I've learned anything in my time paying attention to the industry, for both consoles, the very last game was Just Dance.
It's an educated guess. I will give you that. That is incorrect.
They could
of
potentially
course.
be FIFA, but more than likely,
You know,
it is
sports
Just
games are a
Dance.
good bet in later generations, not
Yeah.
this one. All right, for the NES, the last game, which was actually released December 10th, 1994. So 29 years ago today. What's the math?
What was the game?
It's
Oh my God!
not 29.
I need to
The
know.
game
if
for
I'm
the
right or
NES was Wario's Woods. Was the last game released for the system, and for the SNES on October 6th, 1998, which was 2 years and 1 month after the Nintendo 64 came out. That was Frogger for the SNES. Frogger. I know you're both stunned in the silence.
Why? Why would that be the last game that was released?
I
on
don't
SNES?
know.
Another
I don't
moment
make the
that-
rules
Another
here.
moment of
Earth.
silence
All
for our
right.
scores.
Right? That was like. whatever.
Now, these will get slightly
I'm
easier.
giving myself a point
I
for
got
the
two more
question I asked.
questions before we close our trivia section.
We should have trivia every podcast.
Well, we're going to add it now.
like
I'll do a
this.
better
This is
job
fun.
at coming up with questions. Okay. For each system, and we'll start with the NES. What was the best-selling game for the console
Just Dance.
that
Frogger.
did not at one point come bundled with
Ooh.
the hardware?
Ooh.
So just so you, as an
NES?
example, so just so you know,
Oh, yeah,
NES,
okay.
we know Super Mario Brothers
Duck
was
Hunt.
was the best-selling game,
Yeah,
but it was
but
also
bundled.
included as a bundle at some point. So the best-selling NES game that was not included in a bundle. This one I
NES?
feel like you should know. When you hear the answer, you're going to go, "Oh yeah," unless you get it.
No, I mean, I think it's The Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with
Or it's baseball.
probably not Just Dance.
Probably not.
actually. So
exist yet.
What?
It did not exist yet.
it's disappointing.
Yes.
Should go back and anyway, I'm gonna go with Tecmo Bowl.
Ooh.
Interesting choice.
Also completely wrong.
Both of you are completely wrong. You ready for this, Groner? Because you're going to know the answer.
Yeah.
It was Tetris.
Ah, I won't groan at that. Tetris is a
Yeah.
fun game.
And for the SNES, the best-selling game.
Wait, we didn't guess that one.
I know. I'm telling you. I'm prepping the question. God,
Oh,
Kevin, you're
okay.
so competitive. The best-selling game that was
Don't trivia at
not
us.
bundled with the system for the SNES.
Best-selling game.
This one's tougher.
Did Tecmo Bowl come out on Super Nintendo as well?
Well, Super Tecmo Bowl did.
That's my answer.
That's a terrible answer. I'm just going to tell you now you're wrong.
All right.
I have a couple options in my
Mega
head.
Man X was on SNES,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yes,
say
it
Mega
was.
Man X.
Donkey Kong Country.
Joe?
He said Mega Man X.
Mega Man X.
Oh, Mega Man X.
Oh,
was
I
your
thought you were
guess?
telling me I was correct. Damn it.
Oh, no, you're not correct. Kevin was very close. However, Donkey Kong Country was at one point bundled with the SNES.
You did not say that in the question.
It was. Yes, I did.
You didn't say it was
Don't you
bundled.
dare, Kevin.
Was it Diddy Kong Country?
Go back
It
in the video
was
later.
Diddy
and-
Kong's Quest. Donkey Kong
Donkey
Country 2
Oh, it's 2.
was the number one best-selling game that was not at one point bundled with the
Did
console.
we read the question you asked? You told us Mario and Duck Hunt were bundled. Did you tell us that was bundled for the Super Nintendo?
I stated that as the question.
I'm just being very annoying right now.
Kevin's going to go back to the records and text me.
What
Professional.
happens? I need
Go.
a Snickers right now.
You need
said
it.
you had one.
Oh, he's
Where is
getting
it?
cranky. Is that the sign?
I'm hangry.
All right, Jen.
You're
Well,
not you when
listen,
you're playing trivia.
Nope.
we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up trivia, and we're gonna wrap up our show. So I want to thank Kevin and Joe for being here today to wax poetic about the Game Awards and some 2021 stuff and some trivia that Kevin seemed to be super competitive about, and that's a side of him now
trivia.
that I know.
And I
Better
fear.
trivia questions next time.
All right, I'll work on the trivia
Like about
questions.
specific games,
All right.
maybe.
We'll work on it. Kevin, it's a
Right,
work
right,
in
right.
progress here, all right? And for those of you listening to this really rough work in progress, thank you if you've made it this far into the episode. And if you want to call me out because my trivia questions were actually inversed and I got the numbers wrong because I started to guess myself, then God, please do it.
I like that you spawned this on us, and I had no idea. Did you know he was going to have trivia?
Not a clue.
I added
fun.
it into the rundown
We didn't
this
request
afternoon.
that.
I promise I did.
I
Check
edited
your
the
rundowns,
rundown,
folks.
too.
Check your rundowns at home. Thanks for watching, listening. All right, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. We'll hopefully be more active in the coming months. And we'll see y'all next time. Adios. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye. Hi. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.